Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes,
at this
sir.
point?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My
If you-
God.
If
You're
you
gonna
want to
lecture
talk
me
about,
dividing this country,
it is my
I follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not take
Senator, it is
my
responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what
you
my
tell-
time is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my
you
time's
have-
over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator,
The explosive footage you just witnessed wasn't scripted for a blockbuster movie. It represents the boiling point of arguably the most intense oversight hearing ever witnessed in the United States Senate. Fighting out of the red corner is Senator Cory Booker. Facing him in the blue corner is the sitting FBI Director, Kash Patel. Today, we are breaking down a blistering 20-minute takedown, detailing how the nation's premier law enforcement body is being morphed into a private political weapon. We will dive deep into the Mar-a-Lago classified documents, the sudden reassignment of 20% of FBI personnel, and an agency chief weaponizing presidential authority to execute an institutional purge. To truly grasp the gravity of this fiery exchange, we need to set the stage. Throughout the last 7 months, Kash Patel's FBI has experienced an unprecedented earthquake. Senator Booker clearly wasn't there to make small talk. Observe closely as Booker lays a trap in the opening moments concerning staffing purges, and keep an ear out for Patel's revealing, verbal stumble.
discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I
And
were
I'm assuming
confirmed.
that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
Pause right there. Watch Patel's eyes directly as he stammers, yes, no, within the strict legal confines of a Senate hearing. Flipping your testimony instantly while under oath is a massive red flag. Booker is zeroing in on an internal memo indicating that seasoned agents are being shown the door. Patel frames this as failing to meet the mark, but who is setting that standard? Booker effortlessly cuts through Patel's spin, revealing that this so-called mark is nothing more than a litmus test for political allegiance. Moving forward, Booker lands a devastating strike concerning the Mar-a-Lago classified document scandal. A central pillar of Donald Trump's defense has always been that he declassified the materials. Patel previously gave grand jury testimony on this exact issue. Watch how Booker traps Patel using the very fabric of American law.
I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator, that the Department of Justice
You and I both
released-
understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and that is
Boom. What you're seeing is an absolute masterclass in cross-examination. Patel attempts a textbook PR dodge. I'd love to share, but unfortunately, the court controls the transcript. However, Booker immediately counters with Rule 6. This specific statute explicitly dictates that grand jury confidentiality only binds prosecutors and jurors. Witnesses, which perfectly describes Kash Patel, are not barred from disclosing their own statements. The reality isn't that he is forbidden to speak, it's that he is terrified to speak. Answering yes might invite a perjury indictment. Answering no shatters Trump's entire defense. In this scenario, his dodge is the most definitive answer he could give. While Mar-a-Lago represents a complex legal maze, the ordeal of Special Agent Brian Driscoll is a tragedy for the institution itself. Driscoll is a decorated 20-year veteran, carrying the shield of bravery. He served as a special agent in charge in Newark, yet Patel terminated him. Listen carefully to the justification given for his firing. It is genuinely chilling.
You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025, and in that letter you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States, and so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay.
Just to clarify for everyone watching, Article 2 of the Constitution outlines the authority of the executive branch, a power exclusively reserved for the President. For the director of the FBI to utilize Article 2 to fire an employee is a radical stretch of the unitary executive theory. Patel is behaving as though he possesses the unchecked authority of a monarch, using the president's title to leapfrog standard civil service protections. Booker brings this to light to demonstrate that Patel has abandoned his role as an impartial law enforcement leader, choosing instead to act as a partisan hitman. What happens to an agency when its top talent is purged? Booker highlights deeply alarming statistics from the Cato Institute, which, remember, is a conservative think tank, not a progressive echo chamber.
According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of masked law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say.
A full 20% of FBI agents have been stripped away from essential duties, such as combating child predators, tackling terrorism, and investigating Russian oligarchs, merely to help ICE detain immigrants. Patel attempted to bury this fact under an avalanche of random statistics later in the hearing. We arrested 23,000 violent felons, but Booker pierces right through that illusion. The problem isn't that the FBI is sitting idle. It's that they are ignoring critical, existential national security threats to perform another department's duties, all to satisfy a political narrative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes,
at this
sir.
point?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My
If you-
God.
If
You're
you
gonna
want to
lecture
talk
me
about,
dividing this country,
it is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
it is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can
embarrassment
try all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not take
Senator, it is
my
responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making
time
a
is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my time's over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going
but
anywhere.
I am not afraid of you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth talking over each other doesn't work, and I
Pay close attention to Patel's physical demeanor. Pushed into a corner, his immediate reflex is a personal smear rant of false information. He actually attempts to dictate a sitting senator's speaking time. And how does Booker react? He doesn't yield an inch. Declaring "you can't lecture me and the people tell me what my time is" serves as a definitive reassertion of congressional supremacy over the executive branch in matters of oversight. Congress is the watchdog. When the official under investigation starts trying to issue commands, you are witnessing a democracy in serious jeopardy. Today, Senator Cory Booker transformed a standard hearing into an advanced seminar on constitutional law. He arrived armed with ironclad receipts, Rule 6, Article 2, and the 20% reassignment data from Cato. Kash Patel can rattle off endless drug seizure metrics, but he utterly fails to mask the reality that he is orchestrating the generational destruction of America's leading investigative body, firing the very patriots who defend this country. Merely because they fail a political loyalty test to one man is the ultimate threat to our public safety. So, what's your take on this explosive showdown? Is Patel genuinely purging the FBI for his own political motives, or is he simply draining the swamp as claimed? Drop your opinions down in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. Unchecked power thrives in the dark, so we have to keep watching. I'll see you all in the next video.
Welcome to our in-depth analytical bulletin. What just erupted in the hearing room of the House Intelligence Committee goes far beyond the framework of a standard reporting session. What we witnessed was a fiery clash where the line between political declarations and factual data was ruthlessly dissected. At the center of this confrontation is Democratic Representative Jim Himes, acting as the lead interrogator, facing off against two of the most powerful leaders in the national security apparatus. Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, and FBI Director Kash Patel. The tactic employed by Jim Himes is not a rushed attack. He casts a highly sophisticated web of logic. Instead of diving straight into current controversies, he begins by flipping through old files to prove an alarming pattern. The intelligence and law enforcement apparatus is being turned into a tool to serve fabricated political narratives rather than relying on valid security evidence. Let's peel back each layer of this masterful battle of wits.
Thank you, Chairman. Director Gabbard, as was well covered yesterday in January, you were present at the execution of an FBI warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia election office at the direction of the president and to all appearances in connection with the president's false claims about the 2020 election. The unsealed affidavit submitted by the FBI made zero reference to foreign powers or outside interference.
Kicking off his line of reasoning, Representative Himes takes everyone back to the eye of the 2020 election storm, Fulton County, Georgia. He presents an undeniable fact: the FBI deployed forces with a search warrant to the election office in this area. However, the fatal flaw lies within the legal documentation. Himes exposes a harsh truth. The unsealed affidavit submitted by the FBI to the court was completely blank regarding any information related to foreign powers. Through this, he implicitly asserts that this raid was born out of baseless political pressure regarding election fraud, not from any professional counterintelligence tradecraft. To lock down his argument, he poses a razor-sharp question aimed directly at Director Gabbard. As a result of your visit there, is there credible intelligence in your possession pointing to foreign interference in Georgia in the 2020 election? Faced with a question demanding a yes or no confirmation, DNI Gabbard's unease is evident in how she evades the issue. Instead of giving a direct answer, Gabbard resorts to a generalized diplomatic statement. As you know, but over each of the previous elections, there is an ongoing effort by different foreign entities. Mr. Himes immediately cuts her off. When the head of the national intelligence system cannot confirm the existence of evidence leading to a federal level search, it means that action is entirely hollow in terms of security jurisprudence. Ms. Gabbard's circumlocution is a tacit admission that national security was invoked as a pretext to serve partisan schemes.
Did your office promptly notify the committee about taking custody of Puerto Rico's voting machines?
I don't believe we did. However, this was done at the request of the Puerto Rico AUSA attorney.
Ma'am, it's a
and
yes
in
or no
conjunction
question.
with
The answer,
FBI.
as you have acknowledged, is no. You did not inform the committee about the taking of a territory's voting machines. Is there a specific foreign threat? And I've read the reporting that you were looking for possible foreign threats, but is there a specific foreign threat that drove you to take this action?
There were questions about whether or not there were vulnerabilities that a threat could have taken advantage of, and that was
Following the preemptive strike regarding Georgia, Himes proceeds to open a second file to clarify the violation of oversight principles of the confiscation of voting machines in Puerto Rico. In the American political system, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence wields immense power. Therefore, every action of this agency must be subject to rigorous oversight from Congress. Any intervention must go through a transparent notification process. Yet, in May of last year, this intelligence agency directly seized voting machines in Puerto Rico, completely bypassing the step of reporting to the Intelligence Committee. When questioned about this negligence, Ms. Gabbard admits that her agency did not notify the committee. She justifies that this move was requested by a U.S. attorney in Puerto Rico to look into vulnerabilities. Representative Himes instantly zeroes in on the word vulnerabilities. He strips the event down to its core. U.S. intelligence confiscated the property and equipment of a territory without relying on any specific foreign threat. They acted solely on assumptions about vulnerabilities. This is an incredibly dangerous paradigm shift. It demonstrates that security agencies have abandoned the principle of acting based on factual evidence to shift toward acting based on suspicion. From the two precedents of Georgia and Puerto Rico, Himes has completed the foundation for his attack. He successfully proves that the security apparatus is being manipulated to chase conspiracy theories. And this is the perfect momentum for him to strike directly at the epicenter of the current crisis, the SAVE Act.
The president is going to sign no more bills. The Senate will spend 2 weeks apparently debating the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act, of course, would make illegal foreigners voting in U.S. elections, which is already illegal. So we are.
At this point, Himes pulls the attention of the entire hearing room back to the present reality. The narrative is pushed to its climax as he exposes the ridiculous absurdity of the political environment in Washington, D.C. Currently, the United States is on the brink of freezing all government operations. The root cause is that the Senate and House are deadlocked in passing a budget because one faction adamantly demands attaching the SAVE Act to the funding bill. This act requires voters to present proof of citizenship when registering to vote, aimed at preventing foreigners from voting. Himes delivers a biting, mocking blow directly at this illogic. He reminds everyone that, according to an act enacted as far back as 1996, the act of a non-U.S. citizen participating in voting is already a criminal offense that is strictly prohibited. His sarcasm is sharper than ever. America is about to shut down its government. The president will be unable to sign any more bills, and Congress is wasting weeks just to ban something the law has already punished for decades. This maneuver is built on a loud political propaganda that foreigners voting is an existential threat, destroying democracy. And Himes backs the intelligence officials into a corner. If this hazard is truly terrifying enough to paralyze an entire government, then surely the investigative and intelligence agencies must have ample data to prove it.
How many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
The conviction stats are with the Department of Justice. I defer to them on that.
You are the director of the FBI. Give me a guess. How many convictions in the last 1 year, 5 year, or 10 years? Ballpark.
I don't have that with me, sir. Again, it's with the department.
To contrast the narrative woven in the media with reality, Himes points his spear at FBI Director Kash Patel, the man holding the keys to all federal investigations. But the logic Himes presents is airtight. If there is an epidemic of election fraud occurring, the FBI's files must be piled high. He directly asks Patel to announce the number of non-citizens convicted of voting in the last 10 years. Instead of providing a clear picture of the data, the head of the FBI evades and shifts the responsibility to the Department of Justice. When pressed to give an estimated number, Patel weakly concedes, "I don't have that with me." Even when Himes asks about the number of active fraud investigations being conducted by the very agency Patel manages, the answer received is exceptionally vague. It's probably somewhere between 10 and 10,000. The fact that the commander of the most powerful investigative agency in America cannot quantify an issue threatening to collapse the government is the clearest testament that this issue is nowhere near the catastrophic nature that SAVE Act supporters are proclaiming. But the pinnacle of Himes' interrogation artistry is that he doesn't even bother using liberal data to argue. He borrows his opponent's knife by citing data from the Heritage Foundation, a notoriously conservative think tank that actively lobbies for stringent election laws. And what does the data from this conservative organization say? Over the 24-year stretch from 1999 to 2023, with billions of votes cast nationwide, they only managed to track down a mere 77 instances of non-citizens voting. Just 77 violations in a quarter of a century. This number shatters the rhetoric of an existential threat. Director Patel cannot hide his embarrassment and has to admit that the number is indeed low. Representative Himes has achieved his goal, forcing the executive branch to confess that the legislative crisis rocking America is actually built on a hollow foundation of data.
I am therefore puzzled by the fact that neither the unclassified nor the classified threat assessment makes any reference to risk or danger associated with foreigners voting in our elections. Director Patel, how many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
The conviction stats are with the Department of Justice. I defer to them on that.
You are the director of the FBI. Give me a guess. How many convictions in the last 1 year, 5 year, or 10 years? Ballpark.
I don't have that with me, sir. Again, it's with the department.
You don't have that. Okay. Director Patel, how many active investigations does the FBI have into foreign individuals voting in U.S. elections?
We have a number of investigations, generally speaking, ongoing about individuals across the country.
Yeah, I'm asking for that number.
I don't have that number with me, but I have a number of them.
You have a number of investigations. Okay, is that number 10,000? Is it closer to 10,000 or closer to 10?
It's probably somewhere in between.
Okay, will you please provide the committee with that number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Director Patel, since you don't have the numbers, would it surprise you to know that the Heritage Foundation, which is not exactly the Columbia University Faculty Lounge, found only 77 instances of non-citizen voting in the 24 years between 1999 and 2023, each of which faced investigation by the appropriate authorities. So Heritage has a number of 77 examples in 24 years. Does that number surprise you?
No, because it's low.
I don't understand your answer.
You asked me if I was
Are you
surprised by that
disputing?
number.
Are you
I'm not.
disputing that the number is in the range of 77 examples of non-U.S. citizens voting in U.S. elections in a 24-year period?
I just said that number's low.
You think that number is low? Okay. So why, if this is a meaningful issue, do we have no, and I guess I direct this to Director Gabbard, why is there no mention of this thing that will grind the American government to a halt for a 2-week period in the worldwide threats analysis?
To close out his unbreakable chain of reasoning, Mr. Himes turns back to DNI Gabbard to deliver the deciding punch. Every year, the U.S. intelligence apparatus must release a worldwide threat assessment. If the issue of non-citizens voting is truly a life or death risk, forcing the entire political establishment to halt in order to pass the SAVE Act, then why is it that in both the classified and unclassified versions of the report, this issue is not mentioned with even a single word? Faced with this massive contradiction, Ms. Gabbard can only defend herself with procedural jargon. This report was shaped around the national security strategy's prioritization. This excuse inadvertently nails down Himes' argument. The U.S. intelligence community itself does not consider this a real risk. Everything is merely a calculated exaggeration by politicians. Ladies and gentlemen, the 5-minute interrogation at the Intelligence Committee is not simply a verbal spar. It is a surgical dissection of deceit, where the boundary between political theater and factual data is laid bare. Under the guidance of Representative Jim Himes, we witnessed firsthand a dangerous formula. Politicians invent a boogeyman of fraud. Then, they coerce agencies like the FBI and DNI to go hunting for that boogeyman. And when every hunt fails because reality proves the phantom does not exist, they refuse to admit the truth. Instead, they change the law, threatening to shut down the country just to continue feeding fear into the hearts of voters. This hearing has stripped bare a glaring reality in Washington. Many bills are born not to extinguish a real crisis, but those very bills are used as catalysts to create the illusion of a crisis. That concludes all of our deepest analyses on the events shaking American politics. This storm will undoubtedly reshape political and budgetary strategies in the near future. How do you evaluate Representative Himes' critical thinking and the countermeasures of the intelligence leaders? Is the SAVE Act a necessary shield or just a deceptive play? Please share your perspective in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our multi-dimensional political analysis bulletins that cut straight to the core of the issue. Thank you, and see you next time.